bro, we got 100 songs, putting the motherfucking songs out. Like, you a billionaire, like, you at the point where it's like, you don't need none of this shit. We do, though. If I was Kanye West, I probably would have more features than anybody in the world. If I'm at the point where I know me being on your song can make it #1, I'm definitely getting on the song. That's what I respect about Drake.
In a world where Drake has generated fragile op after fragile op, between him mean-mugging DeMar DeRozan at an NBA game, to throwing a temper tantrum when The Weeknd's music was playing, saying that The Weeknd isn't a real Sixer like him.
You have to switch this song off.
It's on a play, you know, so let him
Have to switch this one. We're real Sixers. We're real Sixers. They're real six side. We don't listen to that.
To watching LeBron James, a man who he has tattooed on his body, dancing to the very song that put the nail in Drake's coffin, while Kendrick performed it 6 times at the Pop-Out concert back in June. It's nice to see a rapper finally on Drake's side. And quite frankly, it seems like the entirety of Atlanta is riding with Drizzy. Kendrick compared the slave trade in Atlanta hundreds of years ago to the vulturistic process in which Drake latches on to various Atlanta artists to incorporate their sounds, lingo, and style into his own music. Kendrick specifically named dropped 21 Savage, Lil Baby, Quavo, Young Thug, 2 Chainz, and Future as artists who Drake ran to when he needed a couple dollars, and likened Drake's association with these Atlanta artists to the colonization of a culture that he has no true association with. While we haven't heard from every artist mentioned in Kendrick's Not Like Us, several of these artists have spoken out, maintaining their loyalty to the King Oviho. 21 Savage has collaborated with Drake since the beef and has said that he's always riding for Drizzy. Drake flew out to Atlanta quicker than Mariah the Scientist to hand Young Thug $1 million in cash when he first got out of prison, making sure Young Thug didn't turn into a fragile op. Even Future kind of walked back any issues with Drake, saying that there's no beef between them, and he didn't even know Kendrick was going to say F the big three, is just Big Me on his record, and that if anyone should be angry at Kendrick, it shouldn't be Drake, it should be Future, since Kendrick was saying F the big three is just Big Me on Future's own record. And now we're hearing from another ATL native and frequent Drizzy collaborator who has shared his thoughts on how he feels about being mentioned in Not Like Us. So Charlemagne the God sat down with Lil Baby and asked what he thinks of Kendrick mentioning him on that record, saying that Lil Baby helped Drake get his lingo up. And this is what Lil Baby thought about being mentioned in those bars.
What was your reaction when you heard Kendrick mention you in Not Like Us? He said Lil Baby helped you get your lingo up in reference to Drake. What did you think when you heard that?
I ain't really into like that side of hip hop, so I don't really, you know.
Then Charlemagne emphasizes that Drake and Lil Baby have been close for a while. Drake hopped on Lil Baby's first big hit with Yes Indeed, and they've collaborated several times since then. And Lil Baby agrees that him and Drake have a good friendship, and because of that, he questions why Kendrick brought his name up in that song to begin with.
But you and Drake always had a good relationship. I mean,
Great
Drake helped you a lot.
Great relationship.
Yeah.
So, you kind of like, it's just with any situation, like, if you and him was arguing, what the hell you gonna say, man? You know?
Like, don't bring you in it.
Yeah, man, I don't wanna be having nothing to do with it. I be having, not saying whatever they got going on ain't real or nothing.
Lil Baby emphasizes that he wants nothing to do with that beef because of the reason that he treats rap like it's work, and he doesn't want no problems in the workplace.
Not saying whatever they got going on ain't real or nothing, but I feel like, to me, like, rapping be my work. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I don't want that type of shit at work, you know what I'm saying? That's what, like, even you saying, like, what's your relationship with Gunna? I ain't here, I ain't in it for that type of shit, you know what I'm saying? I ain't on that.
Well, I brought that up just because of the music,
Right.
the music aspect of it. Because, people, y'all made hits together.
Now, let's discuss this, guys, because in my opinion, this is the right thing for Lil Baby to say, but it also doesn't take away from what Kendrick said on Not Like Us. Two things can be true at once. See, Drake's relationship with these guys is strictly business. Lil Baby didn't explicitly say that, but he also did say he approaches rap like a business, which we know Drake does as well. For years now, Drake has been compromising the art for the abundance of hits. He compromises his authentic self to incorporate other sounds and cultures that will help him grow his audience or tap into listeners who don't simply care to listen to the stories of a biracial Jew from Canada. On that record, Kendrick was saying that Drake attempts to gentrify the sounds of a culture that he has no real connection to, other than being an outsider collaborating with people of that culture. Hence that whole Atlanta verse coming off a song called They Not Like Us. He did the same thing with island music. Drake couldn't have made One Dance without Wizkid. He couldn't have made Work without Rihanna. He couldn't have made European house music without linking with the Berlin-based collective Kinda Music. And that's not to say Drake collaborating with these artists is only beneficial to him. These artists' loyalty should reside with Drake. It's a mutually beneficial partnership. It's like, here, Lil Baby, I'll throw a verse on the lead single of your first album. It'll help propel you to superstardom much faster, and as a result, I can now use your flows. I can rap about 4PF or sliming you out. Fans of trap music will now feel more comfortable hearing me on Wheezy production. The cultural crossover simultaneously benefits Drake's career as much as it does Lil Baby's. But it boils down to what you do with that major look that Drake gives you that determines how beneficial the transaction truly was. There's a reason you don't see Future rushing to patch things up with Drake, or even starting this beef in the first place with Like That. Future has got to a point where he doesn't need the Drake stimulus package. He doesn't need any stimulus package. He just put out a 16-track mixtape with not one feature. He goes from R&B to trap to a hybrid of both. A Drake and Future song in 2024 would help Drake a lot more than it would help Future. But if you notice, Drake is happy to do a song with an Atlanta rapper when it benefits him. When the buzz dries down for that artist, you don't see Drake with them anymore. Prime example of this was Migos back in 2013. Drake hopped on Versace when they were just regional artists. He used their flow on that song, and that put the whole world onto the Migos. But sometimes, such a big spotlight so early on can do more harm for your career than good, because the standard of success for your next single just got raised way higher. If you can't come close to another Versace, there's no way Drake is going to give you another record, and the label will view you as a flop. This same thing happened to McConan, Blackboy JB, and Fetty Wap, who all got hits from Drake early on in their careers, but could never live up to the hype of their early work. And as their buzz died down, we never saw Drake with them again. I use the Migos as an example not just because Kendrick mentioned Quavo in Not Like Us, but more importantly, while the Migos came out swinging with Versace in 2013, their buzz died down heavily in the next few years, with them struggling to create a hit with the same impact as a Versace. And you didn't see Drake with them not once throughout that entire time period. He was collaborating with Future, 2 Chainz, McConan, even Young Thug early on. But after taking the Migos flow in 2013 with Versace, Drake never came back around until 2018 when the Migos finally reached new heights, and Drake seemingly felt it was the right time to link back up with them. Because again, that's when it benefited himself. Someone who we've recently seen have that sort of mutually beneficial relationship with Drake is 21 Savage. Drake used 21 as a sort of feature on his album Her Loss. It's labeled as a collab tape, but it's released under Drake's label, not 21's, and I believe it only features around 15 minutes of 21 Savage vocals throughout the entire 18 tracks, so Drake takes up a good 70% of that album. The project came off the heels of Drake's least successful album to date with Honestly Nevermind, where he went in a completely different direction sound-wise. Bringing 21 into the picture on Her Loss allowed Drake to go back to the basics of what worked, but keeping things exciting with Savage acting as more of a pattern interrupt between the same R&B infused rap bangers we've heard from Drake so frequently in the past. Then Drake brought 21 Savage out on tour, and again the same dynamic played out of 21 helping Drake incorporate that trap production and sound into his music, only for Drake to turn around and help 21 Savage perform in front of the largest audience he's ever done in his career. And as a result, we've seen 21 ride for Drake through thick and thin. People even thought he was sneak dissing Kendrick on Drake's song It's Up.
Made a couple songs, think he hot now. Hit his ass up, he think he hot now. Broad daylight, he got shot down. Seem like everybody wanna opt now.
And Savage has mentioned in the past that he would always remain loyal to Drake, given all that Drake has done for him. Even saying that he wouldn't appear on Kanye's album Donda, cause Kanye was beefing with Drake at the time.
Post Malone can do a song with whoever the he wanna do a song with. Hold on. Me personally, like, I'ma keep it a brick. Me personally, I wouldn't have wanted to be on Donda if I'm gonna be on.
I was just about to ask.
Just me personally. That's just the type of guy.
So Kanye caught you not turning that shit down.
As a matter of fact, Kendrick rapping about Drake's relationship with these Atlanta artists is not just from an outsider's perspective, but it's observed through the lens of someone who's engaged in the same dynamic with Drake. Before Good Kid, Mad City ever dropped, Drake and Kendrick had the same transactional exchange that Drake has had with Lil Baby, Future, 21, all these Atlanta artists. They swapped features. Drake put Kendrick on Take Care. Kendrick put Drake on Good Kid, Mad City. Drake brought Kendrick out during his Club Paradise tour. And something must have happened on that tour that finally made Kendrick say, F this guy for good. But regardless, there's no denying the swapping features and the placement on that tour was a great help for Kendrick early on, but it was simultaneously a good look for Drake, helping him connect with a more bar-focused underground audience, which he tried to cater to more than ever on his next album, Nothing Was the Same. These relationships work both ways. That's why Lil Baby looks at it as, I don't need to be mentioned in this beef because I have nothing against Drake. His collaborations have benefited my career. He's popped out at my shows. He's always around when I need a feature, etc. This is work for Lil Baby at the end of the day. But the real question is, if Drake didn't feel like he needed these artists, if these artists lose their buzz and have nothing creatively to offer Drake, would we see Drake standing next to them? History tells us that no, we wouldn't. And that's what Kendrick's getting at here. You could replace Atlanta with any city or country or even person. You run to the Weeknd when you need a few R&B cuts. You run to Jamaica when you need a few Caribbean cuts. You ran to Kendrick, Cole, and Rocky when you wanted the backpack crowd. And now you run to Atlanta when you need a few dollars. Doesn't mean that Atlanta rappers don't appreciate you. It simply means that you are not like them.
There's a lot of little nuggets in both of their disses that if it wasn't for these breakdowns, and salute to, guys like this, Rapaholics, because I think they directly get it.